Hello, my name is Paul Bartlett and I'm a wildlife artist, and what I do is I make collages from little pieces of paper, building it up to make pictures, rather like a jigsaw puzzle. And what I have are two main techniques going on. I have the flatter collages, where I'm tearing up the magazine, applying the little pieces of paper with glue onto hardboard to create the picture. And then if I can't find certain colours or there are little gaps that need to be filled in, I'll then do that with acrylic paint afterwards. As I'm ripping the magazines, there are inevitably pieces of paper that I don't use, I haven't selected, and they will either go onto the floor or into this bucket, and I'll soak that and make papier-mâché. And this is an example of a papier-mâché piece. It's very textural. You have all the little colours coming through from the magazines, and it's basically applying a mush to your drawing, in this case of a tiger, trying to build up the image with the colours that I've selected from the mush, but there's more paint on these as well because they're larger pieces. But today I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these, what I call flatter collages. It's a simpler technique. Okay, so what we'll need for today's exercise is a piece of hardboard or a stiff card to paint on. In this case, I've just sketched out the outline of a kingfisher. I'll usually do this in pencil, but I've gone over it in acrylic paint just so it's more obvious for you. And if you want, just to help you, you can map out the colours that you need. I've just sort of made an example here of the white on the bird, but you could paint in all the colours just to help you. You'll need magazines. I use this kind of thing. It's nature magazines, RSPB bird magazines, and inside there's lots of colours to use, and text too, which I think is quite effective in the collages, particularly if it's about the subject. You know, you could use any magazines that you have at home, but I prefer to use magazines about nature because the words are about nature. I need some glue. This is PVA glue, and I mix it with wallpaper paste. That just sort of helps to have a nice kind of flow to it, and then I just keep on topping it with water if it starts to dry out. So we'll just get cracking. The thing I do is I just sort of dive straight in and I just flick through the magazines. I find the colours that I want, and I'll tear out the little pieces, stick them on, and just build up the picture that way. So I've been ripping out the pieces from the magazine and trying to tear them to the shapes and the sizes that I need. And this is just something that takes a bit of practice, really. I've been doing it for many years now, sometimes you can find colours that you need in the magazines. I also use text, mainly for the backgrounds, because I think that sort of adds a little bit of interest when you see something from a distance and you think it's a painting, and then you see that it's made of little pieces of paper, and then when you go even closer you see that it's not just made with any old bits of paper, but with things that are related to the subject. So all the text there is about birds and conservation and nature. So I'm just going to carry on doing this, like I say, just collaging as much as I can, and then when we get to the end of the picture, if there's any little bits, any little details that need paint, then I'll use some paint. We're going to carry on now. got a lot of the background filled in, and much of the bird has already been filled in as well. I seem to be managing to find colours that are sort of more or less what I'm looking for. And so I'm just going to carry on doing this. The background with the text here, you may have noticed that I haven't just sort of, well, I'm trying to make it kind of look random by not placing the lines of the text. Sort of, I'm not lining them up, so I'm placing them at angles to each other to create this interesting pattern. So sometimes it's nice to get some bits of, not just the colour you want, but some text on it as well, just to sort of make it more interesting. Some nice orange for the darker parts of the got some lighter warm colours here, just to highlight a bit of sunlight on the plumage. It's important if you want to make your paintings just be that little much better to think about light and shadow in your subject. You can put some highlights in, then it really does make the picture stand out, make it look more lifelike. Put some little highlights on the plumage up here too. And around the eye, just to lead your gaze to that part of the bird. Okay, so the kingfisher is almost finished. I've pretty much covered most of the bird in the ripped up pieces of paper. Just a few little gaps that I'll need to fill in with paint. So it's just a matter of finishing off the text background here, and then we'll switch to using the paint. Okay, so that's the collage part finished, and as you can see, it's quite a good way to recycle old magazines. There's pretty much no cost involved other than little bits of paint which I'm about to use, but this is a recycled piece of hardboard, and then of course the magazines haven't cost me anything. People tend to give me those. So now we'll just touch up little bits here and there with some paint, and then that should be the kingfisher finished. I'm using some cadmium red and Prussian blue acrylic paint, just a tiny little bit mixed on my palette here. The reason I'm mixing red and blue is because you don't actually find pure jet black in nature, so this sort of helps to give it a little bit of a sort of colour tinge. Now I'm going to just help to round the eye, the shape of the eye off. a little bit of emphasis on the beak. Now mixing a little bit of cadmium red with yellow. This is for the highlight of the leg. I added a bit of white because the I didn't feel that was emphasized the highlight enough. Just a little bit on the back foot. I have some cerulean blue here, which I'm just lightening with a bit of white, and this will help to portray the iridescent blue on the back of the kingfisher. It's actually quite hard to create this. It's an iridescence, so I'm really just trying to do the best I can here. A few little touches there. A few little highlights. Maybe add a little bit more white, just to get the highlights on the back. Like that. I'm just going to add a few little highlights onto the beak there. And finally, just a little highlight on the eye, just to bring that eye to life. So that's the kingfisher finished. We've managed to collage most of it with just a few little details in paint, but I hope it can show you, demonstrate just how you can use recycled materials to create beautiful art. It doesn't have to be nature. I'm fortunate in that I spend a lot of my time outdoors watching wildlife. I'm inspired to recreate it back in the studio, and people like it enough to buy it from me. So it's a way that I can earn a living. But it's important to spend as much time as you can in nature, to surround yourself with it. It's a healthy thing to do, and through your experiences you'll see wonderful things, and hopefully you can spread the word as to how beautiful nature is and how it needs to be preserved at all costs, whether that's through collage, painting, drawing, writing, or taking photographs. So go out there, be inspired, and create beautiful things. Thank you.